Freue mich jetzt schon auf das Gespräch gleich im Anschluss. Aber jetzt wechsle ich erstmal ins Englische. I'm going to switch to English now to say hello to Renata Ávila Pinto.
And now we're going to switch to English.
We now hear the translation, but I guess that's okay for this moment because very soon you will speak. So Renata is an international lawyer for human rights and technology. Currently, she's head of the Open Knowledge Foundation. In the past, she was amongst many other things, one of the lawyers defending Julian Assange and author of countless articles on whistleblowing, on human rights, free knowledge, and digital colonialism. In fact, Renata's work was vital in coining the term digital colonialism. She was one of the first, maybe even the first, to frame the global power relations behind big tech as digital colonialism. So I'm extremely happy that Renata is here to enlighten us with a talk about how we can build a future beyond big tech. Hello, Renata. This is your applause. Can you hear us?
I cannot hear, but I guess it's my turn to speak. Is that correct? Can someone signal?
Yes.
Yes, great. So I'm very glad to be here with you. And well, I am in charge of the hopeful part of the conversation today. And as you were presenting the book, it was very interesting to read that when I started the reflection on digital colonialism, which was more than 15 years ago, and I developed it later in 2013 after the Snowden revelations, I never made such a differentiation between global South and global North. Because what I was perceiving at that moment is that we were all in the same boat. I saw it more as a problem of, well, it was framed at the moment of the 99% versus the 1%. Of this deep concentration of power, deep concentration of power and political power and military power in the hands of very few, and us, the rest of us, with all the dynamics of exploitation and cheap labor and extractivism and so on the other side, without a say in the situation. And I think that similarly, like the reversal of the current dynamics that we're into, we must not be tricked into believing that it will be the speeches in Brussels claiming digital sovereignty and packing digital sovereignty as yes, another deliverable of the Commission, the ones that will shift the dynamic. I think that the way to build a new digital future has already started, and I mean, in Berlin there are many of the seeds of that, and in other parts of the world. And I think that the key in building a possible different digital future is understanding that this equation, that the 99% that is not participating actively in shaping the technologies that control most of from financial operations to access to culture to communication and so on today, we have the numbers basically, and we have the power to reverse that dynamic. And when we look at we also have the political power to shift the direction that our authorities are taking the directions on where our taxes go, where our data goes, and the systems that we are pushed to interact with. And I was a little bit more hopeful before than now, because now it seems, and I couldn't follow because there was the problems conversation about the generative AI conversation. But it seems to me that as a society, one of the things that we need to question is, and I was discussing this recently, is do we need technology that is so complex to mediate every aspect of our lives? Or do we need a different approach to technology, an approach that we know, do we need for our daily lives technologies that are good enough to satisfy our needs and they're like, sustainable with the planet and that we don't need to update every 3 days? Do we shift as a society, as a conscious society, our needs, our technological needs, and our dependencies as well? And of course, that's a complicated approach to take because immediately there's a question of the economy, there's a question of growth, there's a question of jobs. But in reality, if we see the impact of not having a plan B and not having a different approach to the technologies that we are using, the impact is like at the end of the day, the benefits are only going in one direction, and the cost is taxing even those who are disconnected today. I believe that maybe 20 years ago it was not the right moment, but I believe that now, as a society, we have many of the conditions. We have the knowledge, we have modest computational power that we could control. We have the ability to coordinate, to do sophisticated, coordinated infrastructures, and that work. And there's a growing appetite in thinking different economic models to take the technologies that we are using. I think, and I worry that all the big plans, Eurostack or digital sovereignty legislation that is being pushed in different countries at the moment might be distractors from the hard effort of building bottom-up resilient technologies that we own and control, basically. And while it might sound promising, and it is very exciting to hear the words that were just shared in these very exclusive circles of very educated people in terms of technology and freedom, it is nice to hear them now used by the politicians in Brussels and elsewhere. But it is also worrying to see the appropriation of these concepts that is not really being translated into action, into the kind of action that in the original meaning that those concepts had. So my reflection today is, and it's more a question to the audience actually, and I shouldn't be like asking questions to the audience. It's like, which are the minimum common digital commons that we could start building? And I think that having this, the possibility to be connected from a completely different country using a platform that is not mediated by big tech is a big achievement. And it's something that it should be the default. But which are the minimum, the base of infrastructure, the base of the basic blocks, instead of like the Eurostack, I think more of a commons stack, which are like the minimum viable technologies and governance systems and sustainability systems that will enable us have the possibilities of technology today in a way that at the same time, it's like, as I used the analogy many times, we abandon the old building of big tech and we build something, the foundations of something that is governed differently, that addresses sustainability of people and planet differently, and that serves for for purposes that are like of rather than of specific value to some groups, of general value for society. It takes a lot of coordination, I think, but it is with the level of knowledge that we have today and the data we put in common for this kind of purpose. and the labor that volunteer that we could put in common, I think that it could be an ambitious project that has more hands available and more interest and more like even contributions that we could 10, 15 years ago. I believe that while it is good to the extent that it is compatible, follow the processes or decoupling from US technologies and from Chinese technologies that Europe is following. In parallel of that, we need to build our own. And I see that it's not a project of the global north, it's not a project of the global south, it's a common project, it's a project of people that believe in the emancipatory power of collaboration, around people that believe in certain set of principles that we were discussing here today, people that reject colonial projects, and very intelligent people that understand that it's not a very complicated problem. I mean, if we could we could both tackle men with a different tech stack. And it doesn't have to be uniform. It doesn't have to be homogeneous. It could be like a different expressions, technological expressions of what we need, but interoperable and somehow federated. If talking to each other, collaborating on nodes, I believe that it is a concrete possibility. We could even see happening already in areas like social media messaging, but I'm not that big fan of it. I'm more thinking, like the technology that is running our schools, the technology that is needed for that, the technology that is monitoring how things are going with our planet, the technology that's really affecting many that do not have the possibility of opting out or seeking options. And the technology that is extracting from people, as we heard in the stories that were shared today. And so while I cannot offer a magic formula on how to do it, because it's up to all of us, I believe that with consistent efforts, we could achieve it. And we can, of course, it is the two sides of the coin. The first side of the coin is the need to push the boundaries of the digital sovereignty projects that have been big investments with no taxes that are being discussed now. And of course, they try to avoid to the maximum possible this dynamic extractivism of people and resources of the global south. But at the same time, we need to start developing our own, and perhaps not publicize it a lot, but do it quietly, and grow it organically. And who knows, maybe in 20 years we will gather here again, and we will realize that it was very, very, very possible, and that it took us half of the time that we thought, and that we successfully start a business model of some very greedy companies that do not care about people, planet, or principles. So those are my reflections today, and I hope that we can debate them later in the panel.
All right. Thank you, Renata. Not sure if you can hear the applause. I hope you could hear the applause. If not, there was a very warm applause. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and building bridges in your talk. Can we will have a 2-minute break to switch the situation in front here, so we have a proper situation for the panel.